Greetings, gamers! Welcome to another wonderful episode of Red Steel Gaming Presents. Today's special activities are card game spotlights, and we are starting our card game spotlight with Flesh and Blood. And we have with us once again our community leader for Flesh and Blood, Faiz. Say what's up, boy.
Yo,
how you doing, man? Welcome. And
thanks for
we're
having
gonna,
me on.
of course, thanks for being with us. We're going to be joined by Sal and Chris as always, and today we're going to discuss Flesh and Blood. All right, here we are with our community leader for Flesh and Blood, Faiz, and we're going to discuss a little bit of, we'll start with like maybe a little bit of a soft history of how Flesh and Blood came to be, and especially how it came to be here at Red Steel Gaming. So our first full, I guess, dive into Flesh and Blood was with Monarch.
So Monarch was the first one that came to RSG. It came out in 2018, so not that long ago. It's only like 5 or 6 years old at this point, or I guess 7 years old maybe. But it came out in 2018 with Welcome to Wraith, which was a really, really limited print run, and not everybody got it. Like, it was very, very limited. I remember I came across it I'm from South Jersey. I came across it at Top Deck Games even before they moved into their gigantic warehouse store they have now. And I bought the 4 Welcome to Wraith alpha decks. I was like, this is cool. I'll try, because I love new card games. I love learning rules. I don't always stick with them, but I love learning them. So I was like, it's 4. It's a nice little play thing. Even if I only make it as a board game, perfect introduction. Like, this is where I can stop. I ended up playing it. I fell in love with it. But then so did the pandemic. The pandemic happened. Everybody shut down. And the second set of Flesh and Blood came out literally the week before the country closed down for the pandemic. So all gaming was out the window. Nobody was playing it. So I kind of left Flesh and Blood behind. We get to 2020. You decide you're going to open the store in that September. You're bringing in Magic. You're bringing in Games Workshop. And I was rekindled in the idea of Flesh and Blood because I was really into it. And honestly, some of my fervor for it came from Rudy.
Yes.
He was talking about it a lot. He was in contact with James White, who's the creator, who was an old Magic player himself. But for whatever reason, Rudy liked what James White was selling, whether it was monetarily good for him is for Rudy to know and nobody else at that point. But I was getting psyched up for the idea of, like, this is a cool card game. He's behind it. He likes Magic. I like Magic. He likes Flesh and Blood. I like Flesh and Blood. So then I approached you and said, hey, is there any chance we can kind of get it into the store? Which,
and I said, hell no.
It was a little bit of a cold shoulder there for the first couple times, but
I said hell no.
The hard sell, you know.
And it had nothing to do with the game itself. It's just as a new store owner, I mean, we were in business for, I don't know, 3 months. And I'm still haven't even gotten Magic to take hold yet in the store. I literally had maybe 4 booster boxes of Magic in the store. My point of view was, limited funds, stick with what I know and what I know works. Granted, it looked appealing. It had the gladiatorial combat kind of feel to it.
It's a fantasy setting.
Fantasy setting. The art was good. I liked the cold foils. Cool stuff. But as a new store, I just was definitely a little intimidated. Also, new store, new businessman.
Yeah, and I tend to be very persistent when I kind of want something, as they will say. So I kind of kept hounding on him, and I was like, it's really cool. It's different than Magic. It's got all these, and it's kind of like a fighting game. Like, if you ever played Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, it's very much like, when I played Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, there was always that one character I always gravitated to. I always loved playing Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat. I didn't care if I sucked at him or not. It was just like, that was my guy. And Flesh and Blood has that in spades. Like, you pick a character, and you are that character. And some of the mechanics that go along with it are really good, which I'll let Faiz touch on more. But that was where it really, like, once I got kind of sold on the idea that it was a good game, that really kind of solidified it. We did eventually end up getting Monarch in. We started the community. We got some new players. I think Joe was one of the players that came in to here. Faiz was one of the players that came into this actual RSG1 location. And the rest is history. It kind of grew from 1 day a week to a Sunday Armory. We did every Sunday. And then we moved stores. It continued. It stayed relevant. Faiz kind of was there more than I was at that point, so he kind of took the reins, and the rest is history, honestly. It's been...
Well, in typical fashion, a new card game came out, and you flooded
That's
over.
Exactly right.
Flooded over to the new one.
The
new shiny.
The new hotness came out, and I disappeared.
Flooded over.
It's interesting, too, because at the beginning of the store, too, it was in I wouldn't say flooded market, but it was your capital had to be, focused, pinpoint on certain areas. And remember then, you had Yu-Gi-Oh!, you had MetaZoo, you had other card games. But there was card games that were like on the shelf that had to be like, is this going to, is it
go? Listen, when
is this going to grow?
In any situation,
tough.
When you have limited choices, You have to go with what you know. And for me, as the store owner, I knew Magic. I've been playing Magic since it came out. So I stayed there. And then, thankfully, with the way we do things here, is if someone is willing to, pick up the banner, which
champion it, yeah.
To start it was without a doubt you were championing it first. And then he, we'll say you said, here, Faiz, hold my beer. And you went over to there and Faiz started waving the banner too. And these games in a game store, especially in our game store, the way we do things is if someone raises that banner and gets some attention on it, it's easier for me to see a financial value to it as well, as besides the fact that the game is fun or whatever. Is there a financial return on it? And there was.
Yeah, and that's the importance of the community leaders, the idea that they can kind of champion a game, and it might not pick up at first, but as long as you stick with it, if it's a good game, people will play it. Yeah. I mean, look at BattleTech. I mean, that community is pretty big. And
as much as I hate BattleTech because I was a Robotech guy, it has nothing to do with the guys that play it. I joke.
Number 2 sales, whereas the last
I joke
thing.
And this and whatever, but of all my jokes might be, like you said, recently the sales data came out that they were the number 2 selling game.
Catalyst.
So it's selling somewhere.
Behind.
It's definitely selling somewhere. But my point is, as a game store owner, I cannot play everything. I cannot learn it. I try. I do. I'll try anything once. I definitely. One thing we learned is that we will play anything, and I will definitely try anything. But it helps to have a wider view, and that's where you guys come in, and the community comes in, and players come in. Like, if you try to gain ground with it, and I see that, I will react to it without a doubt. I'm not, listen, I might be an intelligent man, but I don't know everything. I know that for sure. And I am not half of what I am without the community telling me, hey, Dan, this looks interesting. Don't miss this opportunity. And that's what you did, and that's what he's continuing to do, and we continue to do in general here at the store. But Flesh and Blood did take root, and then the game is a competitive game.
It's very
very competitive game. One of the reasons I personally liked Flesh and Blood when it first came out is when you're teaching somebody most board games, there is no board state. There's, shuffle the deck, these are the cards, and you have a hand, and then you build. You put out some resources, and those resources turn into more cards and more creatures and more armor or whatever. Flesh and Blood, when you start Flesh and Blood, you are at the strongest you're going to be when the game starts. So from a teaching point of view, it's on the table. Like, here it is. This is what you got, right? And then in your deck, you'll have other cards that will help you, and these equipment in front of you and these other cards in front of you will help you activate them and play them. So I think it's a little easier to show somebody the ebb and flow of the game because of the board state that starts with.
Definitely easier to identify with characters or just really try to embody them. Or if I give you a blue-green Magic deck, you really have no personal attachment.
No, it's going to take.
I love teal.
It's going to take 2 games or so before you figure out how the deck plays.
That guy has a giant hammer. Oh, I'm the guy with the giant hammer.
Or the guy looks like he's a barbarian, or he looks like he's raging out. Like that's my
That'll pull the role player in for sure.
Yeah, and
so you can look at it and be like, oh, I want to be that guy. I want to be that girl. I want to be that spellcaster.
We're gonna have the movie. We're gonna have the movie. My favorite fantasy thing ever was Disney's Robin Hood. I loved the Archer. I loved Robin Hood and that idea. So my first D&D character was a ranger with a longbow,
a grumpy ranger with a longbow.
Yeah, exactly.
Defending the woodlands.
And honestly, the thing that kind of hooked me was the ranger in this game and the mechanics of it. The Flesh and Blood does a really great thing with locking in how the deck works with the mechanics of it. So if you're swinging a gigantic 2-handed hammer, you're not going to swing it 100 times. You're going to swing it once every rotation kind of thing. So you have to build the momentum with the hammer. If you're going to shoot an arrow, well, you don't just take it out of the quiver and throw it at somebody. You have to put it in your arrow. You have to put it in a special place before you can shoot it. Or reverse of that is the ninja. The ninja in the first set was so thematic.
Oh my God.
Because it wasn't like, I'm going to slice you in 2. I'm going to cut you 1,000 times, and they're going to heal. They're going to damage you once each. It's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Each character has a specific play style, and although they've duplicated classes at this point, they still feel so unique that you can pick one and have that as your identity. That is my avatar. That is my character.
That's what got me in when I finally started to learn how to play. Here he is, right here. My boy Bolton. He was kind of like the paladin of
the light paladin.
The light
He was
paladin.
the-
He's a light warrior in this game, and he is the paladin. He's a badass paladin, and he uses mostly his sword. I mean, he has there's other weapons, but the sword was the preferred one, and he built, like you said, it's powering up to get that big hit in.
Mm-hmm.
So, the theme of it is a lot more. It's a lot easier to get somebody to say, "Hey, do you like a wizard? Do you like the Kodachi for one?" I mean, that's people walking around with that shirt. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I used to have nightmares about Wei Lin playing that. It reminds me of "Do you pay the one" in Magic? That's how that's
definitely
that's like that
similar
same vibe. So
yeah.
But the community started to grow, and they do. They have good play experiences. They have other ways to play the game. They do their armory events.
Yep.
They were doing. I know it's changed recently, but they were giving out monthly promos with a mat and some cold foils.
Yeah. They used to do. Well, they still do armories, but they used to do like more specialized kits to give out more play mats and special like just playing promos, and then like a winning promo, and then like it's just something to compete for and just play with every week. Sometimes they're valuable, sometimes they're not, but usually they're cool to have, and it's just like a nice thing to get when like you're playing.
And now an armory is just the name of the event, right?
Yes.
That's their weekly play event's called an armory.
And let's give them their flowers when they're due, because they are one of the best when it comes to giving things away to stores in order to promote play.
Absolutely.
So like the armory kits, as long as you sell Flesh and Blood and buy it through the distributor, you get an armory kit every month, and it's meant to
For free.
give things to other people so that they can experience the game and have a reason to come back and a reason to enjoy it and play. They're super great when it comes to like the community engagement, because I think they realize how important that is. Like, it's called Flesh and Blood. This is James White's whole thing. He called it Flesh and Blood because he didn't want it to be an online game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He wanted it to be played in the flesh and blood, looking across the
person.
table at somebody. So they wanted to give a reason for people to play in stores, and I think it's it's done nothing but benefit them, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Their customer engagement is high. They've been adjusting. So when things aren't going properly, they've been quicker to react than some other card companies in the past. Hence people were getting a little bored with the mat and some of the cards, so they just changed the way they started doing things.
Yeah. They definitely don't shy away from change. They embrace change. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, as all companies should do.
Mm-hmm.
And they've just hit their 5-year anniversary, and they're still like powering through.
They have regionals, right? They have the RTNs, the Road to Nationals.
Yeah, we have the Road to Nationals, which gets you an invite to the national championship in your country. They have
the
ProQuest, which also you can play at an LGS, which gets you an invite to the Pro Tour, which they kind of copied a similar model to Magic's old PQ system.
PQ system, yeah.
So the Pro Tour is every few months. They do a Pro Tour, and then you can win cash prizes. And they put up almost $2 million every year for people to win throughout the year. And then when you win at Nationals, you get an invite to Worlds. That happens at the end of every year.
And where's Worlds this year?
Worlds will be in Philadelphia this year, right?
Ooh,
an hour,
close.
An hour away from us.
Guess where we're going,
Is
Faiz. We're going Worlds.
Is Azalea rolling out to Philly?
I don't think Azalea is going to be invited to Philly. So.
Have they announced where in Philly?
It'll be the convention
I
center.
assume it's the convention center. It's the best location.
Either that or there's another convention center on the west side of Philadelphia. It's fine. Like the King of Prussia area.
I think I heard it's confirmed at the convention center.
Good.
Excellent.
That's where it should be.
Yeah.
That's great. And for us, for those that don't know, Red Seal is in Mattawa, New Jersey, so it's only about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yep. So we can all go and check it out.
Go check out the dead game. You want me to come check out the dead game?
We'll check out how not dead it is.
Check out the game that is not dead.
Hey, by then there'll be pirates. So.
There'll be pirates. Yes. So as I said, like I used to bust their chops as well, but Flesh and Blood has persevered at the store. We've had ups and downs.
Definitely.
Some people rolling in, people rolling out.
Yep.
We've had some.
They've gone through their distribution problems, right? They had woes
like
of
any other
like
game.
product,
Yeah.
and they're
Overprinting,
They're based in where?
underprinting.
What country are they based in?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Okay.
Yeah.
Based in New Zealand, but printed in
Belgium and Japan.
Yeah.
Japan.
We used to always joke that the packs would smell like chocolate.
Yeah. The Belgium packs paper and they smell like chocolate.
They must be packaging in a chocolate factory because I swear I don't know if it's
hopefully not just for the safety of the chocolate.
I It's probably psychosomatic, but I swear I smell chocolate on it.
Yeah, there's definitely like an interesting, unique smell to them when you get the Belgian
experience
packs.
to open it. And Star Wars Unlimited also adopted the paper packs.
Yep.
Yeah. And I have those paper particles in my nostrils now. So.
Oh god,
You know, I love to grip it, rip it, and sniff it.
they're probably on
We'll
this
find
table
it in your
somewhere.
X-ray later on.
Well, also too that they do something unique with their characters, right? When tournament scenes have happened, and unlike other games,
they don't follow a normal rotation that most games do. Magic with Standard, they do I think 3-year cycles.
Yes, it's 3 years now. Yeah.
I think Star Wars Unlimited also does a 2 or 3 year
2 year
cycle.
cycle now.
2 year cycle for Star Wars.
Flesh
currently.
and Blood rewards players for like playing the best deck. Essentially,
Or
you're allowed
breaking
to play.
the character.
Yeah, you're allowed to
Breaking
break
the
the game. You're allowed to play the best deck. But once the best deck's played too much, they will rotate that hero out on a leaderboard system.
Does it accrue points
Yeah,
based
so
on winning?
depending on how high stakes the tournament is, and depending on how many tournaments, once they hit 1,000 points, they will leave the game.
But
Essentially,
it's only that character and their weapon, right? Like
Yeah.
all their cards are still pretty much legal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what's cool is that those cards from the first set are still legal.
Yeah,
in the
6-year-old
game.
cards are still
Still
legal in
legal in
their
the game.
standard format.
They're
It's just those
heroes
couple
So
heroes.
that phase in and out.
Yeah.
Phase in and out.
Oh.
Look at that. I didn't even know I did that there.
so it kind of reminisces to more of a legacy type game where like your cards accrue value and they'll always be legal. And then if they reprint them, cool. If they don't, they're more valuable. But the hero specifically and the hero weapon, which are usually tokens, they leave the game and ascend to a different format called Living Legend, which is a no ban list type format.
Which obviously the more casual format compared to the regular
Right now it's
competitive play.
casual, but it's also the most broken format in the game because of just how ridiculous it can get.
Well, what's great about again, you can still enjoy your cards.
Yes, exactly.
right?
That's
you,
the
you can,
experience.
you still want to throw down with the big bad boys.
And also, like, if you have a strong emotional attachment to the character, which a lot of us do, especially when they spend a lot of time on the deck, you can play it again. It's not like, oh, your hero's gone, like, go somewhere else. Like, no, your hero has another home, essentially.
Has any of those retired heroes have new iteration, like the same character with a different card or a different title? Have they done that yet?
Yeah, so they've done a few where they've either taken the archetype and they made a new character based on that archetype. So, like, they had a Shadow Runeblade called Chain, the Living Legend. Now they have a Shadow Runeblade named Vincent,
Okay.
who replaced him. But with they had a Light Illusionist named Prism, who also a Living Legend from the same set. But they replaced her with another Prism because she's such a huge fan favorite.
Yeah.
So
And a
it plays
favorite of James White
plays
as well.
completely differently, but it's still
In the vein.
Yeah,
So like
mechanically,
like the Ranger type
It's the
or
same
the Wizard
card
type. They're
pool, but they
yeah.
gave her new mechanics to deal with.
slowed her down a little bit.
Yeah,
Basically,
they
powered
got
her
rid
down,
of the
slowed
broken
her
mechanic
down.
and then replaced it
Yeah,
with
so
another
they
mechanic.
kind of fix it later on, essentially, but they let the broken stuff happen and then they fix it later on.
yeah. Case in point, Starvo.
Yes, Starvo's
was-
a big.
It was broken so fast that it was a
Instead of
meteor.
yeah.
The fastest rise to Living Legend
Well, the fast lies in CC.
NCC.
In Blitz, the ninja was quicker, right?
They,
Oh, that's right.
you
Blitz-
Living
they do it in
Legend,
Blitz
and
as
they
well.
fixed the way Blitz Living Legend.
Okay.
What is
like,
Blitz again?
So there's 2 formats. There's the 40 card format called Blitz, which has 20 health. A lot of the heroes they identify with their health. Most of them are average at 20 for Blitz. And the 40 card format and the 60 card format, it's 40 health. So the game is much longer. And the card is the deck size is 60.
Okay.
So we call the 60 card format Classic Constructed, which is the gold standard of how to play the game. And that's like this type of product will get you into that 60 card. The 40 card is just a really quick, easy way to get in the game. Try out different heroes, try out the game at a much faster speed.
Yeah, the Blitz stuff is meant to be like I've always wanted to try Visceride. Let me try a Blitz deck because it's cheaper, it's quicker, and I can get the gist of how they play very, very quick.
Without the bigger investment in hunting all the
very-
cards you need
Correct.
for.
Because
Super affordable.
one
too.
of the things that one of the downsides of the game is that some of the really, really good chase cards, like the best in slot stuff, can be a little on the expensive side, especially because there are products that are out of print now where maybe that's where the only place that you found that really, really good chase card. But in Blitz, it's so quick and so frantic that you don't need those. So you can play with the 15-cent replacement equipment and then, oh, you know what? This is definitely my guy. Now I'll go and make the investment to make a CC deck, a 60-card deck with the best in slot stuff. And you can speak better than this, but like the best in slot is like 3% better. It's not like I'm going to auto win the game with this, but I'm going to have a 3% better chance of winning. And sometimes people get it in their head like I cannot deal without that 3% win percent, but they've done a really good thing. So like for anybody that's not familiar, or for anybody that is familiar, the Tunic was the first really good best in slot thing for the chess piece. My character Azalea still uses that as their primary thing, and it was printed in the very first set.
5 years later, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's a little expensive. But they have done iterations that are not the Tunic that do a very similar thing that are much cheaper.
98% of what the Tunic does.
So the Tunic gets you maybe 1 or 2 resources over the course of a game. They've made things that are 5-cent cards that get you 1 resource for the game. Yeah. So like I'm only getting 1 extra resource on turn 6 that this other thing is not getting me. So for the people that say it's way too expensive, yes, if you want to play in Philadelphia at the World Championship, yes, a deck is expensive. But if you want to come to a Sunday Armory or one of the Thursday free events that Faiz does and play Blitz, you can get a whole deck for, what would you say, $15-20?
I mean, like off the shelf, a Blitz deck is $12. Off the shelf, an Armory deck class constructed
which is $40. Unheard of cheap when it comes to other CCGs.
They are pretty competitive with their pricing, at least for box product. I cannot comment on the market. The way collectible card games are on the market is the way collectible card games.
Its own animal, yeah.
Yeah, like no one has control over it. The company can only do so much. But like
they do have map pricing. I'll speak to that since I am the store owner and I know what they do. And map pricing is one of my favorite ways to control pricing in the game. It pretty much sets a market price that makes it profitable for online retailers as well as in-store retailers.
It also saved their game, essentially, having map pricing.
Yeah.
Because they enforced map pricing, their games aren't. They're telling the stores and the consumer that our products are not worthless. They're not meant to be dumped. They're meant to just be maybe sit on the shelf a little longer, but they will sell. Like, and we're going to stand by like their product. Like, they won't let you like just, oh, we're going to sell it for like $30 because we just want rid of it. They won't let you do that.
They haven't had the Fallen Empires that Magic had when it first came out, where it was everywhere printed to oblivion and the booster boxes were down to like $25.
And that they're pretty proactive with reprints. So like the Tunic has been reprinted. It was in the original first set, but every time they reprint something, they make it a little less desirable.
Yeah.
So the cold foiling, some of the cards that are on the table that you may not be able to see, so the cold foiling process in this game is like fantastic. And that was only in set number 1. You can only get that card in set number 1. They did reprint it in a product called Crucible of War. That was now rainbow foiled, which is not as cool looking.
Crucible.
But if you owned a cold foil, the value of it didn't really go down that much because it was still only valid in that product. They reprinted it a third time. This time it was white bordered.
Yep.
So it looked like an old like 7th edition like Magic card.
Yep.
And some people really loved them. Shout out to JoJo. Some people really hated those.
If you have a retro feel, then I get.
Yeah, I think JoJo just wanted to watch the world burn. Honestly, I think that's what his.
But it gave you access to that card.
It gave you access to the card for a cheaper value. They did it with CNC, although I don't think they've ever printed a cheap version of that. But
I mean, that card is just so like what's unique about the system is they have generic cards which can go in any deck. So if there's like 36 heroes in the game or whatever, like 50 heroes almost in total. All 50 heroes want that card. So there's like, it's just a fight for the best card, and that card just still maintains a high value.
Now, is it, because I don't know, do they do the same, is the same rarity levels like common, uncommon? Like, what do they do?
Common, rare, majestic, legendary. Legendaries are usually just for the equipment. Majestic is pretty much the power cards, and commons and rares are just like.
And they do the cold foil treatment for all those?
Almost everything in the game.
So you can have a common or
cold foil. They try to.
Unfortunately, yes, you can have a common cold foil because when you're opening up a case and you're looking for your hits,
that's
one of the most frustrating things.
Yeah, get pissed off about. Like,
I bought a cold foil card for $1.15.
Yeah,
because it was a common version. But.
Yeah,
cool. And then what did they start putting in like the mythic cards? Like, talk about the chase that's in there.
So they've started new chases, which there's some full arts here called Marvels, which is full cold foiled out. Like the card is just cold foil, like top to bottom. And that's like the true chase they've trying to push onto collectors to kind of like excite people and get like more reasons to open the product.
You always want, any CCG wants to attract the collector base too.
Yeah.
Not just the guy that's playing it, but somebody that seems to kind of value in finding a rare card.
And they're trying to innovate in a way where they don't try making multiple different versions of their regular booster box. Everything you can pull from the set is in the booster box.
In a regular booster.
There's no alternate collector's box. There's no
draft set.
There's no draft
collector.
box. Yeah, it's just one box that you're trying to get everything. Like the collector wants to open the same box as a player.
Yeah.
We're all opening the same box, and then like they can exchange cards between each other. The collectors want the collector versions. Players can get the player version.
And the good thing is the collectors open so many that it makes the price of the regular commons, uncommons very cheap.
Very cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again, price of entry, it looks like it could be crazy if you want the highly tuned deck, but
Yeah, everything
it
else
really
is
can be
like-
super duper cheap.
If you look at most deck lists and just like cut out the top 10%, 90% of the deck is probably under $100.
Under $100,
90%. So like you pretty much finish the deck. It's just like the 10% of cards that just the whole carry the value, and it's a trading card game, and something's got to carry the value.
Yeah. And in the end, from a retailer point of view, it's easier to order the product. I only have to order the one product, really. Yeah, I order some of the decks, I order some of the Blitz decks, but where the money is the booster boxes.
Yep.
And I don't have to decide. Like, Magic has gotten better, but before it was draft and set and collector and bundles. There's like a lot going on, and which printing is there? Flesh and Blood is just a lot easier that way.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking for anything, buy a booster box.
And that's deliberate.
I need to buy.
Yeah,
I'll buy a
That's
booster
deliberate
box.
on their
I
part.
think it's
They don't
easier
want
for
to.
They're making a
stores-
conscious effort.
Stores don't want to make a huge gamble. They're just like, okay, I'll put a booster box. I
And
think that was what it was like for you.
From a sales point of view, too, the active Flesh and Blood player buys a case.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Everybody, a couple packs here, a box here and there. But when they're invested and they're looking for what they're looking for, they're going to buy the case.
Yeah.
And it's just easier to move the product out.
It's definitely a huge recommendation a lot of players, established players make to new players or anyone willing to spend the money is you buy 4 booster boxes, which come in a sealed case. That usually guarantees you your pull rates for that set. Like you'll get all the commons and rares you need. You'll get a good chunk of the Majestics. And then usually you guaranteed the legendary.
High percentage of a case.
Because they're usually one in like whatever 24 times 4 is.
And the cool thing is that Faiz plays this type of character. I play the Ranger. So I pull his legendary, he pulls mine. It's an easy swap.
Yep.
So and then as a community, when you have a group of people that are playing together, it's really nice that the 4 of us open a case. Pretty much everybody's going to walk away with the legendary they want or the value worth to sell it to buy the legendary they want.
Also, if you're just a Ranger only player, like Chris, he only has to buy maybe one set a year.
Yeah.
The next set is Ranger focused. That's the set
I'm
he's gonna
going
buy.
real deep in this set.
But
because
next
of that.
set, he doesn't have to spend a single dollar unless they print 1 or 2 cards he needs.
Or unless they come out with a new character that can't not play. So
yeah.
we'll see.
So
like
it's
Pirates.
another
Well,
experience.
it's Pirates Rangers.
Pirates
It's
Rangers,
a Pirate Ranger.
yeah.
She's got a harpoon gun.
One of the
harpoon,
things.
cannon.
Okay, cool. Ooh, I'm down with cannons. One of the
Got
interesting
airships.
things about Flesh and Blood for me is I don't know if it was a design. If it was genius. And he was a Magic player. And if you're designing in this space, there are competitors, Magic, Pokey, Yu-Gi-Oh, big time IPs that have been around a long time. It's hard to chisel out some play space for sales. So again, I don't know if it was intent or not, but we were talking about in previous shows how you can really only have time to be really good and spend the money on one card game.
Yeah.
Flesh and Blood, again, don't know if it was designed that way. If it was genius. It is the other card game. You can play Flesh and Blood as well as any other game because, you're a case in point, as far as I know. You've dabbled in other heroes, but you love Azalea. And, anybody can do it. If you have that class or that character that you like, you could just focus on that one deck. And it's not the same drain on your wallet as a full-on, Magic.
Yeah, and
which has a full range of cards, and you need most of them to be competitive. You just need your cards.
I also took a step back. It's I am not a competitive Flesh and Blood player. I like to play competitive games, but I was like, you know what, Flesh and Blood is a great game. I can play it casually and enjoy it, so I'm going to stick with this. If you wanted to play the best deck every single set, then maybe you got to be a little more chase happy.
Yep.
But I found that the game lived in my brain the best when I focused on one character that I really resonated with, that I liked.
Yep.
And like Faiz said, I was able to kind of jump in. Oh, there's 3 new cards in this set. Okay, I'll get those 3 cards, and then this next set I'm gonna go 2 feet into the deep end of the pool because I know it's got cards that I'm gonna want. It's got a new Ranger to try. I'm really excited for. I actually just played another game with Faiz not too long ago. We hadn't played in months.
Yep.
Because the set got announced, I was instantly hooked again because it had my class. I was ready to be reintroduced back into the game because the Ranger's there. And that's what I like. It just grabs you. It grabs you and holds on to you even after you say, "Oh, you know what, I'm done with that game." Suck me back in.
Well, it's like it's almost a role play element. Like, you know, you have your
100%.
class, you have your class that you like, and like you said, you had mentioned that you have your Ranger in D&D. I have my Paladin in D&D. It's if you like the class, you like the class, and once it looks like it's kind of shining again because it's got a new toy, you go right, you pick it right back up. It's like your old favorite handheld game from back in the day, or a console that comes out with a new game that you want to try again.
It's like when your faction in Warhammer gets this edition,
new
of
mini
this book,
edition.
and
Yeah,
you're,
when you get the
you're
new
the
book.
focus, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm getting everything for me,"
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and then I'll wait for my next rotation.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah,
that same
pretty
kind of
much.
Flesh and Blood does that really well. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it could hurt sometimes because
Yeah.
you the case in point, like you haven't bought anything recently because there was no new shiny.
helps your
But-
wallet.
Yeah, but again,
But also
that's
can,
why.
like, wane interest a little bit, but
I mean, that happens with any game. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not that it's a
yeah.
it's a really a
certain
failing
sets
of
and
Flesh
other
and
games
Blood.
maybe like just don't appeal
Yeah.
to you, or like I don't like that mechanic, so I'm not gonna like buy that set.
Yep, it happens, right? But I mean, that can happen in any game. You put
Yeah.
anything down. For
But
a
I
little
feel
while.
like the identity part makes it simpler and like cooler to find your niche and kind of like stick with it.
Again, I like the armor. I like the
Yeah.
I have like a character sheet in front of me.
Yep.
That's a good comparison for me. I
Yeah.
have a helmet. I have it's like you're going on an adventure, and your adventure is playing a couple games, and then you find a treasure. The treasure's another booster box that you opened up, and in that booster box you found a cold foil of the card you were looking for, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's like I got an upgrade.
And like
know?
I think the sideboard is like an item bag essentially, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
I need this weapon for this matchup. I need
Yeah.
this these boots for this matchup.
Yeah, I need
because-
fire. It's me in D&D going. I need fire to fight the troll. So let
Exactly.
me,
How
Oh.
big's the sideboard?
So it's up to 80 cards total. Minimum deck presentation is 60, so you can use up to roughly like you have 20 cards to play with, but at least a minimum of 5 of that is your equipment.
The one thing I will say of Flesh and Blood, it is the most brain burny game, most brain burny card game ever. So if you think of like, I don't, this is no knock on, but I think Pokemon, Larcana, they're on the lower end. They can be very complex. They can be very competitive. Don't get me wrong. But I think when it comes to like barrier of entry, when it comes to teaching somebody, I think those mechanics are relatively easy. I think then Magic and SWU are kind of there. I think Magic's a little bit more complex because it's just been around for so long. But teaching, I think Magic and SWU are kind of like on the same level of complexity. This is to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Like I can explain it and teach it relatively quickly because I use the analogy of it's a fight. But then when it comes to like I have these 4 cards in my hand, what do I do next? Like it's a brain
to
burn.
me, it's the
Yeah.
chess of the card games because
this is the go
yeah,
of because
Yeah.
go is
I-
even one step above chess. I
chess,
think
yeah,
like it's
3-dimensional chess, maybe even like because like you could I could show you. All right, this is how a knight moves. This is how a castle moves. This is how a queen moves. Really easy. I could show you that, right? But then I put them all on the table
The
together.
strategy of it is
And then which one do you wanna move
Which
first?
one you want to move first? Now you're boom.
you got 16 choices. Which one do you move
Yeah,
first?
okay. It's funny that it's 16 choices.
Whatever.
Whoa.
Amazing.
I'm playing down upon every game from now on.
But it's going back to the stress of it. I will say, for the longest time, I thought it was a negative to the game. I would say to Faiz all the time, I says, I don't understand of all the card games in the store that Flesh and Blood is not really played casually. You won't see, Magic in the store every day, all day. You
Yeah.
even said it during the
Specifically
Commander,
too.
especially. It's all day, every day.
Yeah.
Now, there are higher levels of Commander, especially with the new grading system and difficulty, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's all
But in general, Commander was a casual format.
Yeah.
But Magic in general and all the other card games, they are played casually.
Yeah.
And I never really see people play Flesh and Blood casually. It's matter of fact, it's really only played on the days that it's available in the store. Don't get me wrong, is an off game once in a while, but
Yeah.
it's not really that normal. Now, is that a meta in the store? It's very possible.
It could also be the youth of the game. The game
only
is on. Magic
6
is
years
so
old,
old,
30
that we've
years
gotten
old.
so
Yeah.
many
No,
formats.
No, but even
so-
like Lorcana, which is younger than Flesh and Blood, is still played more regularly than. But I think it's completely. I realized later after playing, and doing a couple decks it is stressful.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good stress. Like,
Yeah.
it's a puzzle.
It's
to
a challenging stress. It's
in
like,
the moment.
It's New York Times crossword stress.
Yeah,
Like, you like to do
Ginkgo
it.
biloba.
and yeah. You know You know it's going to be tough. You know it's going to be hard, but you want that challenge. Like,
Yeah,
you
and
want to do it.
when you're
Like, you wanna-
successful,
it feels good.
it feels so good. And when you're not successful, you're like, oh, I want to try it again because I was so close.
Yeah. And then that's another thing I see too, looking at guys that are of equal skill. Almost every game ends, and you can look at it and say, that one moment is when I lost it.
Yeah.
That one moment is when he lost it. You know, you could see it 9 times out of 10 games. Every now and then, don't get me wrong, it's just like, you know, a little RNG happens, and you're like, oh my God, it got rolled. It's a card game.
It could happen.
It can happen, but it happens a lot less in this game compared to the other games. Again, it goes back to the board state being set already.
Yeah.
There's it's not like you got ahead of me and you built a better board state.
Exactly.
Our board state's there.
Yeah.
It's, you know, then it comes down to 9 times out of 10, it comes down to just how you execute it
And how prepared you are.
and how prepared you are. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other unique thing about the game is it's best of one. Which
Yes.
I think
Because
most
you
card
can't,
games
you
aren't.
would have a breakdown.
if every game was 3 hours long.
It'd be
would
a
have to
long,
be faster.
It'd be a long format Lord of the Rings to
Oh
play
my
a 3-game
goodness.
card.
I know,
imagine.
like when
I
me
can't
and
imagine.
Chris jammed some games, we
Yeah.
tried to do best of 3 just to kind of see like how close the like matchup is.
Yeah.
And usually it's like 1-1, then the last one always determines it.
And I bet you all 3 of the games were like a moment.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, yep. They're like, oh, I should have tried. Let me try something different.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And at that point, but that's how you get better.
Yes.
Right. You
I think to your point of like not playing casually, I think like it's also the game best like when you're preparing all week for it.
Mhm.
Like you're stewing the sideboard, you're stewing the deck, you're editing one
just
or
a
two
different
cards,
mechanic,
and
you
then
know?
you get to that moment like I am prepared.
Mhm.
Whether you are or not will be determined at the end of the event.
Mhm.
But like it's kind of I think it's one of those like that whole build up experience.
Yeah, there's a
to it.
satisfaction to it for sure. It's
But it's a good stress. I would call it a good stress because when you finally do get the win, it feels
so
it
good.
feels
Yeah.
more.
Well,
It feels better than other games.
haven't they actually talked about, and they've never iterated it yet, but isn't there, where they talk of a different format where there was all your
PvE.
heroes fighting a central mob,
PvE,
kind of like
yeah.
a PvE
But that's-
format.
that's been in the ether since Monarch. Like
Well, that's
they've
what I
been
mean, like,
talking about it.
from-
It's,
I'm just curious, like that's an alternate way to play. It's just like, you know, they're once again, they're a small company too, so like that pushing that forward might be way more resources than someone might imagine. You know,
I think from my understanding, when the game started, there's like probably 5 guys in New Zealand. Of course, let's make the idea that it'll be PvE one day. The game actually caught on more competitively than they imagined, and they kind of have been trying to catch up to that part of the game for the better part of the 5
Stick
years.
with what works. I wouldn't want them to stop.
Like they've been just chasing that, like, oh, let's keep upping the prize pool, like
Well, this
1
was
million,
this
1.5.
was their, I mean, this box set was an attempt at trying to get like
Like,
you know a casual, you know, like here's a box,
Mhm.
self-contained, sit down, play with a couple buddies. Right.
wait, talk about UPF. That's the other
Yeah,
format. That's
that's- yeah,
kind of
that's
like
what this
Commander
is.
S.
They know casual is king in all gaming.
Mhm.
And they also have the numbers to know that there's a lot of people not actually competing. So,
Mhm.
like, they did launch the game with a multiplayer format and multiplayer rule set called Ultimate Pit Fight, which you can play up to 4 to 5 people. You can play as many people as you want. I sometimes play with 8 people at
I've
a time.
seen those games.
They're
And they are,
hilarious
without a
and
doubt,
long.
hilariously long, but also the most raucous games
Yes.
of Flesh and Blood, and most
100%.
talkative and chatter. Like there's not a lot of chatter because it's like a chess match because Flesh
Yeah.
and Blood is so tense.
And what's
but-
unique about the game is with the multiplayer is you only hit left and right. So like those are my real opponents. But that's what makes it more incentive to me yell across the room to Chris like, "Hey, kill those guys. Those are your opponents. Like do it for me so I know when I get to you we have a better chance. Or you have more incentive or something like that." Like that's where
I'll always attack Dan. Don't worry about that. That's never in question.
so like there's that need to communicate across the room, and that's why it can get really loud. But it's a cool way to like kind of like bring out the worst of the game or the best of the game. Like bring the best deck or the worst deck. Like doesn't matter because like
it's more carefree.
yeah, and like the end of the game is like I'm hitting you and you're hitting me. You know what I mean? There's no like I need to build a board state. I need to do my combo. There's no of that. It's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna smack you in the face. Are you gonna take it or you're not?
Yeah.
And you also have the other guy to deal with too. So It's a cool way. This is one introduction they try to do with the Tolarian Community College. The professor, he's actually in that box
As a character, yeah.
So that's one of the products you can buy to try to initiate the more casual multiplayer side.
Cool.
And then they're actually releasing another version this summer called Smash Palace, which will be a similar experience, but they're gonna copy more of a jumpstart style, where you build decks based off these booster packs called Guardian Mastery Set, and you just pick a hero from that and you just play.
Which is again a more of a hopefully more of a casual.
100% casual. They design characters specifically just for that experience.
And definitely an entry point. Like everybody can jumpstart, everybody can put 2 packs together and play.
Yeah.
Like that's what
There's
they're
no
what they're
deck
going
building
for.
needed. There's always variants because like with the 2 new packs, something always different happens.
Cool.
In summation, for me, my opinion of the game is that it is persevered. It's unique. I cannot reiterate enough how I like that the board state is right in front of you. It's like, let's go. We haven't really touched on it, but the artwork
it's beautiful.
It's amazing. It's
Right,
some of the
it's
best
well
art. It's some of the best art in CCGs.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially some of the higher end cards that you've pulled recently. Pulled that about
Rosetta Thorn.
a month ago from the store.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually
RC hot
saved
packs.
we
for sure.
we saved the video footage of him just like.
Yeah, seriously, him on the camera
I would-
footage of the store is amazing
It's
because he like,
Did this
Jordy
just
had a
happen?
stroke.
well,
I thought something happened, or
didn't-
maybe he got some bad news because I didn't know if he was looking at his phone and like something bad
you
happened.
and Way were cracking packs. Didn't Way open it?
Way open and it just drops it in front of me. I lose it. I'm like, this can't be happening. I literally was asking if it was going to happen.
Oh, that's so crazy. So again, Flesh and Blood's a great game. Definitely check it out. For those that don't know, the Faiz is again our community lead here at Red Seal Gaming. You can reach out to him as Green Destruction on our
Green
Discord.
Destruction,
If you
Faiz
want
on
to,
Discord.
he can set up a learn to play night if you want.
Hunt him down.
Hunt him down.
I
And
do
then-
learn to play nights every month, the first Tuesday of every month. If you need a day to come in and just learn the game, that is like where I don't bring any crazy sweaty things that I bring to the weekly events. And that's where I will teach you like,
He doesn't show his true self yet.
yeah.
And then what are the other 2 play nights?
And then we do events on Thursdays, which are usually cheaper or free. And we do our normal armories on Sundays, which you can get like gem packs, which are amazing. You can get amazing promos from it.
Yep.
Some really high valued stuff too. So it's like a great either to trade or to start pimping out your decks. 2 times a week and then 1 learn to play a month.
And what are we? 4 sets a year for Flab now?
3,
That's
only 3.
3 sets a year.
Always
3
3.
sets a year, which again makes it a little easier.
Yep.
Sometimes I know
You can enjoy this at much
more is
too.
more. It's always a great thing, but when it comes to your wallet, sometimes it's just a little bit
And
easier.
this game really, the marination and being able to kind of like distill what's going on in your character is important. Like
Yeah.
having too many choices would be too much.
Would be
Like
too
you
much,
need
yeah.
the time to like
To learn
it
how,
is-
to be to learn it, to pilot it, and then to pilot it
well.
against the 30 other heroes that are always getting upgrades and so on and so forth.
The evolution is also something to enjoy too. Oh, I built this version week 1. Next month, I built this version to solve this problem. Next month, I built this version to solve this problem. Like you get to experience the deck in all its stages, and pretty much by the next set, it's figured out usually. If not, it's still trying to be figured out. But you're part of that process the whole time, which is like, I think, a really good experience.
All right. Anything else to add, gentlemen? Before we
It's-
wrap it up,
It's a great game. You should definitely give it a try. And Faiz is a great teacher. He'll be more than happy to
Seek out
Thursdays and
Faiz.
Sundays.
yep. Find him on our Discord, Red Seal Gaming, and also his Green Destruction.
Yep.
If you have any other questions as well, you can reach out to me if you jump on our Discord. I am Dan, the RSG Primarch. So thanks for joining us. I hope you like this segment. We plan on doing more focus shows for each card game that we have in the store, as well as board games and mini games as well. Again, Faiz is our community lead, and you'll see more
Appreciate having
community
me on.
leads. Of course, thanks for joining us, bro. And we'll have more community leads on as more shows get recorded. So again, thanks for joining us, and never stop gaming.